You're watching The Point, and thank you very much for returning with us. We're still talking the agro-economy today, and with Mr. Onen Moses, who is from Pelham, and of course representing the views of Ugandans, and of course influencing policy making in terms of agriculture and the agriculture sector here in Uganda, and what can be done in order for us to see the agriculture sector we dream of in the Vision 2040. Now, before we went into the break, Mr. Nen, we talked about ecological agriculture, which we're going to return to very quickly, but I would like us to settle the issue of land usage. 80% is quite a lot, because when you compare us with countries like Egypt, and I'm very interested in Egypt because this is a desert, literally 90% or even 100% a desert, arguably. They only have probably the Nile as the source of water. But when you look at the projects, the agricultural projects they have put in place, feeding their entire population with food at home, of course importing just a few things, maybe wheat, maybe, but they do have rice, they do have so many other things that they have been able to produce from a desert land. Here in Uganda, you just walk outside the studio, you find arable land. You can grow anything anywhere. And today we are still seeing people actually growing food or plants in sacks, you know. Yes, it looks really innovative and creative, but it comes back to the aspect, have we run out of land? Where is this 80% arable land, and why are we using only 35%?
Thank you, Anthony. Ordinarily, one would think that since we have 80% of land arable, we shouldn't be talking about hunger.
Yes, in Karamoja.
We shouldn't be talking about malnutrition in the many parts of the country, and we shouldn't be talking about the kind of agriculture we have currently. You realize that the challenges that come with this, where you find only 35% of the land being utilized, they're diverse. One of it is the question of land governance and management. Now, this is one of the factors that has really hindered agriculture. We know that 80% of the land in Uganda falls under the customary land tenure. And this customary land tenure is a kind of tenure where the different communities govern the land according to their customs and traditions. Now this constitutes 80%. This means that of the 80% arable land, the biggest percentage is customary land. And this tenure is characterized mostly with conflicts, disputes, boundary disputes, for reasons that most of this land is not registered.
It's by word of mouth that
this
land belongs to Onen Moses.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they are not registered.
Yes.
So it leaves it so much prone to boundary conflicts. The conflicts we are talking about, these are boundary conflicts. Somebody saying, my land passes here, and the other one saying, no, yours doesn't reach this side, it is this side. The other time, my grandfather cultivated in this garden, and so such kind of conflicts. At the end of it all, you find that the communities cannot cultivate land that has conflict. And if you move around in northern Uganda, in those districts where we have huge land conflicts, you find the production is really low. The utilization of land is low, especially where those conflicts manifest violently. We have heard of instances where people are cutting each other.
Acid attacks.
Yes, all that because of land conflicts. And that is one of the reasons why land is not being utilized. Secondly, is the question of land fragmentation. This one covers mostly the central part of the country and the western part, where you find that land has been distributed in the smallest unit possible. And what this means is that on that piece of land, a household should have the house on it, and also some portion for agriculture. So you find that since the land is so fragmented, say in a family you have like 6-7 grown-up children, and you go dividing your land for these 6-7 children without consolidating it, you find that these 6-7 children, each of them will have to find where to put a house and where to cultivate. So land fragmentation is one of the factors. But the other one is also poor land use planning, both at household, but also with our system, the government system. Now the land use planning is in such a way that there is no controlled pattern of how a model or a modest household should be planned. In other countries, you find that settlement or houses are congested in one corner, saving the other corner for agriculture. But here in Uganda, I still have to learn where that's happening. But in most cases, in the areas with customary, once you are grown up and you're establishing a family, they give you a portion of land, and in that portion, the very first thing is, where do I put my house? So you find that people are putting houses after houses, and then reducing on that land for agriculture.
And I think generally also housing should be strategically located in areas which should not be cultivable, where you cannot cultivate.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, and in our village setting, our typical village setting, such kind of information, although sometimes it happens naturally by the fact that the household can see that this section is so much rocky, it has a lot of maram, it can't produce, but that is just reactionary. But in terms of planning and sensitization to people, that for you to save space, you can construct going upwards, okay? Or you can limit area for construction and you save the other ones for agriculture. That information, that consciousness is not deliberate. So this also accounts to how we have greatly reduced the land that we're utilizing for agriculture. The other one is about access to financial products by the farming communities or by the households. I said earlier that about 82% of the young population is employed in agriculture. And what kind of agriculture are they doing? They're doing mostly subsistence, just for survival, for food security, not for commercial, where they can earn from it. And this is majorly because their access to agricultural financing is so limited. Most of these financial products require collaterals. Or when you go to banks, you'll be required to present a collateral for you to access like loans and so on. And a collateral is only produced by the owner of the asset, which in this case, the owners are the elders. And the people who are actively utilizing the land are the youth. So you find that directly to the youth, their access is curtailed. In the region where I come from, the elders have have even gone ahead to create stigma around the youth, saying the youth, they only want to get loans from the bank and then buy motorcycles and start riding, and they die with it. Yet, there are very many serious youth who would want to access capital through the land as a collateral and then invest in agriculture. But since this sentiment, this feeling is widespread, the elders sit back and they fear entrusting the youth with the land. And because of that, the kind of farming has remained subsistence, and the utilization of land has remained limited as well. So basically, these are some of the issues, among the other issues, that I can say have really contributed to 35% of utilization of land. But also the other one is the kind of technology we use. The technologies, most of the technologies we use, they are rudimentary technologies, traditional, like the use of hand hoes. Very few have adopted the use of ox plows, and very, very, very few they have adopted the use of tractors. This also impacts on the level of opening land for cultivation. A person using hand hoe, you can't expect that person to do much in terms of opening huge land, as compared to a person who has adopted mechanization and they're using tractors and so on. So most of our people still use rudimentary tools which do not allow wide opening of the land. Yeah. So in my opinion, I think these are the issues that underpin the low utilization. You talked about Egypt. Yes, Egypt. I think why they were able to reach the level they are is for the fact that, one, they were faced with real hardship in terms of the country being a desert, and yet they had to feed their population. When you look around the globe, around the world, it's so interesting that most of the food we consume come from countries that are desert.
Yes, true.
Talk about Egypt, talk about Israel.
Yes, Israel. I was about to talk about Israel. Yes. It's become, I think, an agricultural
hub.
Yes, hub in the whole world.
Yes.
We have even students going out there to study some of the technology they are using.
So I tend to believe that the more you are squeezed, the more innovative you are forced to become.
Exactly. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think for these other countries that are desert, yes, they learned from the challenges they have, and the environment, how it is pressing on them, and I think they devised better means, because they know that once you don't utilize the little resources that you have, you end up missing out on everything. So as a country, we need to learn from what the farmers in those countries are doing and see how to adapt. They have really done quite well in terms of adapting to the changing climate, as opposed to what we are doing here. I think in Uganda, we take it for granted that we have huge land and very fertile, and we boast about it, and we forget mostly our responsibility. Yeah, because having land is not a guarantee that you will have food on your table. You will eradicate poverty unless you take steps of sustainably utilizing this land.
So in others, there's a way we are in the comfort zone, right? when it comes to our land, we are really comfortable and we think we have it all?
I tend to believe so, because with all the indications that we have around, it speaks to that.
Yes. Yeah. And then I want to question on the fact that the central region of the country used to be the hub of agriculture, being an example to many. And there are reports here that according to the Uganda Consensus of Agriculture 2008-2009 by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, in the central region, banana production stood at exactly 1 million metric tons, about 1.03 million metric tons of just about 326,000 hectares under the crop. While in western region, production was at exactly 2.8 million metric tons. That's almost double in western Uganda. And this is from just about 500,000 hectares, a little bit more, but not so much, right? Not double the land that we have here. Isingiro in particular alone produced about 601,000 metric tons, leading the banana producing in terms of the districts in Uganda. Isingiro coming in the first place. In the same consensus, the central region, which had about 120,000 hectares under beans, produced about 167 metric tons of beans in that year. And we just had about 241 hectares under beans in the western region, and they produced about 400,000. That shows you the scales. They're producing almost 4 times more on a little bit more land, but not as big, right? The difference is not so much in the land size, but in the productivity. What really happened to the central region? And is this laziness actually emanating mainly from the central region? I'm talking this because I personally come from Masaka, where we were very passionate while growing up, seeing plantations all over the road. Our father had a plantation. Right now, where there was a plantation in my dad's home, there's a school, right? And we are seeing this more often, especially in the central region. What really happened?
Yeah. I think we need to reflect deeply into that question. There are 2 issues here. One, you are speaking to the fact of urbanization and the growth of the different urban centers, and also you are speaking to the issue of the tradition and the mindset and the practice that used to be. I would like to expound first on the issue of the tradition. Here we quite know that traditionally the Buganda region was well known for matoke, just like you said. And if you get back and deeply analyze what kind of matoke were they known for by that time. Is that variety still the one we're talking about now? Or the variety is quite different from the variety that we used to know Uganda for? I can tell you that from that alone, the current variety that we have in Uganda, they are not the same that we used to have those days. And this partly also accounts to the reduction. One is that those who have insisted in maintaining their traditional variety, they could be the ones who are still sustaining the production. Now there have been a lot of improvements in the banana variety. One, to fight wilt, to enrich its vitamins, and then the other one is also to enhance the size. All this come with challenges, because hybrid or improved banana will not last so long as compared to indigenous variety that we used to have before. So increasingly, between 1995 coming to 2002, that span, there have been a lot of research on banana, and because of that, most farmers adopted new varieties of banana. So it performed better before the year 2000, but after the year 2000, another challenge stepped in. We used to know that once you plant your banana, you only keep maintaining it year in, year out, and improving the feeding to it. But most of these improved varieties, you are required to replant them, remove, replant. And because of that, many people didn't have that time to replant and so on and so on. So most of them, the way they were caring for this banana was in such a way that they would continue giving it feeds and so on and so on. Yet the yield would go by reducing. And then this indigenous variety kept on also going extinct like that. So the major factor here was adjusting to the new variety, and then adjusting the way they were traditionally caring for the other indigenous variety. The care was not matching the variety. Yet we believed so much that this is the way we should be doing it, and yet it wasn't matching. Now for other regions that embraced banana growing, for them it went to them as new practice, and they embraced it with the kind of extension services that came with it, with the new instructions that if you want to improve on your yield, you do this, and that, and it was quite easier for them to adapt to that. They didn't stick so much on the tradition. So because of that, we found these other regions like Isingiro, Bushenyi,
Itoma, yes,
that belt,
yes,
they started producing in volumes. Why? Because they adopted
the new system.
The new systems. I think Uganda can still reverse that. One is they can still adapt to the new system, but also maintain their indigenous varieties. In other parts. Why do I say so? Because it's important that we don't lose our indigenous knowledge, indigenous varieties of any kind of food that we have. So I think that is one of the biggest factors that contributed. But also, when you look at the levels of fertilizer utilization in these different regions, in Buganda, they stick so much to the traditional way of enhancing soil and all that.
Mulching. You see the same kind of old.
Which is good.
Yes.
But you need to complement that with other practices.
The new practices.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to come back on that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still talking the agriculture sector of Uganda and how we can grow our agro-economy. And I'm talking to Mr. Onen Moses. Now, Mr. Onen, when we return, we want to still, as we conclude on that topic, on why we still have shortages coming in from the central region, we want to get into the ecological agriculture bit. What is this new system, and is it a new system anyway? But also, I want us to also talk about genetically modified crops or rather seeds that are currently coming in. And the Western world and technology is telling us that this is the way to go if we have to protect our crops from the new pests, the new diseases that are coming up every now and then We recently had locusts in the country, and so many other challenges that are currently still facing our crops here in Uganda. How can we tackle them in the ecological sense? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a quick break and we return shortly. Stay with us. This is Smart 24 TV and we drive business.